Hi, Pamela Topchian. So I've been meaning to do a recording about the tattoo because it has so much meaning for me, and there's a good story behind it, and I just wanted to share it. I do get asked about it, and I tell people I'm going to make a video. So I do have a couple other videos on my YouTube channel about the Deja Vu experience and about the tattoo, the Lotus tattoo on my chest. So this is actually kind of a cover up. It was more made to expand what I already had, but it ended up being more of a cover up. So you can see, in other videos that there was a smaller one and it just came up to about here and it was all like just the same color pink. So the story is, if you know me, you know a lot about my story, but I'm going to tell this as if you don't know me because this may be the first video that you're watching. So I was a nurse for 14 years. I It was very soul crushing for me. It was not healthy for my mind, my body, or my soul. There was so many reasons for this, both personal and because of the industry itself. So I was at a point in my life, I had had a big major breakdown after a toxic marriage. And I came out of that. I moved far away. I got therapy, big major piece there. I got therapy, and it really helped me to heal. So about 5 years into my nursing career, I already knew that this was not what it was cracked up to be. It was, I was already disgruntled, disenchanted with the whole nursing thing. So I had taken a course for holistic healing modalities, and it was just kind of an intro course that had a bunch of like an introduction of a bunch of different types of modalities that were more holistic, healing in nature. And there is when I found hypnotherapy. So if you don't know me, I am a certified hypnotherapist. But at that time, I was in the toxic marriage and I was not able to make that switch over from nursing to hypnotherapy. It was not going to be something that I could do without some encouragement, without some support, both, mentally and, physically and financially. And the marriage that I was in was in the life that I was had at that moment was not conducive to making that switch or starting a business or a practice. But I knew that I just loved hypnotherapy. I went on and focused on that in my studies and went through level 1 and through level 2 and ended up continuing on nursing. Ended up leaving that marriage years later. Like I said, had that major breakdown. And then I was still nursing, and it was 2020 or 2019 actually. And I was just had it. I was burning out. I had already went through this healing. I had already went through therapy, and I was feeling myself burning out again. And I just did not want to go down that road. I had already been there. And at my worst, I was suicidal. I was highly anxious, very depressed, obviously. And I didn't want to go in that direction again. I knew that I needed to do something else, not to mention some physical issues, bad arthritis in my hands, um, was keeping me from doing a lot of the physical stuff that nurses do on a daily basis. And I did so many different types of nursing jobs that trying to find a good fit, I just couldn't find it. It just was not something that was right for me. And I knew that I had to get out of it. So I was sort of, you know, out of my wits' end, unsure what I can do. I think I was already 50 at that point. And I, so I went, so I did a guided meditation. And in the guided meditation, I saw myself clearly doing hypnotherapy. And in this guided meditation, it was one that was for finding your soul's purpose or finding what's right for you in your life, something like that. And so I'm going to go ahead and give a shout out. I believe it was either Michael Sealy YouTube channel or it was Hypnotic Joe T or something like that. Those are the two that I was listening to a lot at that time, and they are amazing. So please go listen to them. But both of those have some finding your soul's purpose type of guided meditations. So in those, I saw myself very vividly, very clearly doing hypnotherapy. And it was like one person after the other, and everybody came out of it so thankful. And I was, they would be like, oh, thank you. Thank you. This was life changing. I was like, no, thank you. Thank you. Because I knew that I got as much out of it as they did. And this is all, in my mind. So it was just, that experience alone was amazing. So at the time, um, I didn't have any tattoo on my chest. I've got a couple other small ones. And in the guided meditation, I saw a lotus tattoo on my chest, very much like this one. And actually, I think it was, yeah, pretty much like this one. Um, and so then I thought, well, that's interesting. Wasn't really thinking about getting a big tattoo of a lotus on my chest. I wasn't, at the time I didn't have the resources to get another tattoo. It just wasn't really something that was in the forefront of my mind at that moment. And I thought, well, that's interesting. I'll just keep a note of that. Remember that that was there in the guided meditation. And so I started looking into hypnotherapy after that. And because it had been so many years, it had been 10 years at that point, and I looked for other education. I had moved. I knew I needed to get the training again because when you're certified, you need to, every 2 years, you need to renew your certification. So I found a hypnotherapy school pretty close to me. And I went there. I made an appointment just to talk to them to find out, the whole process and just to get all the information. And the Deja Vu experience is I drove there and I just it was a strange way to park. It wasn't much parking. Where I had to park was kind of on a little curve, like the street curved around a little bit. And that was the only place to park. And it was kind of a strange little area. And as soon as I parked there, my mind said, oh, this is where I had to park before. And then right away, that was my subconscious mind. And then my conscious mind said, wait a minute, you haven't been here before. Have you? So I kind of looked around. I hadn't been in the area very long. I knew I'd never been to that part of town even. And there were there was a residential area, and then where the school was, there were other offices and things like that. So I kind of walked around the building, looked around at the sign, and thought, was there something else that I went to right here? No, there wasn't. So that was a little strange. So then when I got out and as I walked up to it, it had these ornate type of, I don't know, like, I don't know if they're lighting fixtures or what it was, but just these interesting kind of, not even statues, but structures. And they had a beautiful water fountain outside the door. You open the door, it has this specific sound because there's these, big like copper bells, I think, or brass bells on the door. And as you walk in, there's another fountain inside that has the chimes. So just all these different senses and sounds, and it all felt so familiar. And I was just taken aback. I thought, have I been here before? Like, this was really seemed so familiar. I knew I was where I needed to be. Got all the information. It was pretty sure that I could make it work. And I was just so excited that I knew this was right. Everything felt awesome. And I talked to the director and the owner, an amazing woman. And, everything felt so good about it. And when I walked out, I looked around again because I thought, boy, even the sidewalk, even the cobblestone or whatever it was, it's something different than just plain cement. Everything just seemed like I had been there before. And that's when I realized, I thought, oh my gosh, this is deja vu. This is deja vu. And it hit me. And I was just amazed. I just was so thankful to the universe for giving me this experience and for this realization of what was happening. A little bit in awe, and now I had to drive back home, and my mind and my head was spinning a little bit. And I got back in my car and I looked around because it really felt like, it's hard to explain, but it really felt like this little parking area was something that I had done before. Obviously it's hard to explain. But so then I pulled out, started driving home, and I started looking into a little bit more about how things are going to work with my work schedule and with money and with getting everything together so that I can get this education. And this was I don't know what month this was, but the next training course was going to start in January of 2020. So I believe this was September or October. Um, yeah, it was right around September or October that I went there for that. And so then at some point before the school started, I had put up an item for sale. So it was in one of these groups that could be a barter group in your local area. So it was for sale or for trade or to barter. Um, and I put up an item, and a tattoo artist messaged me and asked if I would take a tattoo for the item. And I thought right away, there's my Lotus. There it is. And so I didn't have a whole lot of say in what exactly I got other than a basic Lotus, because I didn't know really the price and the cost and how that was going to work with bartering for an item compared to the tattoo, because it had been quite a while since I got one, and I never got one very big. So I just said whatever size that that was going to feel like an even trade for you that I would take. So that's what I got. And I was very pleased with it, very pleased with it. However, as time went on, it just was not really the right one. It was not really the same one that was in my vision in the guided meditation. And I kind of had a thought that I might someday get it added on to or covered up or something to be more in line with what was in my vision and what I knew kind of that I had to have. And so then I just now this is just so I'm making this in August, and it was the end of June that I got this. And there it is. And I love it. And this is much more in line with what I had wanted from my vision. And it's kind of big, um, kind of big, kind of on my whole chest there. And I love it so much. And this is definitely, so much meaning for me and in line with what I do with hypnotherapy for people and with people, and just a whole blooming, blossoming, coming out from, the bottom of the pond or the mud. That's the story and the analogy of the lotus. It comes out from the dark mud up to the surface to rise and bloom. And like I said, I was coming out of nursing, coming out of a toxic marriage, had a major breakdown, had to figure this out, what I was going to do with the rest of my life, because I knew nursing wasn't it. Even though I was in my 50s, I made that big switch, and my own subconscious guided me there. And so the lotus is just part of that. And it's just such a metaphor for my life and for what's going on now, as well as the universe told me to take it. My subconscious told me that I needed this, and it was going to be just a big symbol of how far I've come. And there it is. That's the story of the lotus. And I know that I've rambled a little bit, but I hope that you enjoyed this, and just let me know. Thanks. Bye.